Hello friends, today we are here to discuss the summary of the poet and pancakes by Asoka Mitran. So let's start. The makeup department of the Gemini Studios was housed in what many believed to be Robert Clive's stables. The department, Asoka Mitran mentions, uses a brand of makeup nicknamed as pancake. The makeup room contained a lot of bright lights which made the actors uncomfortable. The makeup department, Asoka Mitran notes humorously, was an example of pioneering national integration in action. The makeup department also consists of a strict hierarchy where the chief makeup man was followed by his senior assistants, junior assistants, and finally the office boy. The chief makeup man and his assistants usually applied makeup to various actors in the movie. The office boy, on the other hand, was responsible for applying makeup on the extras. He had once aspired to become a star actor or screenwriter, director, or lyricist, but ended up as a makeup boy. The office boy's frustrated hopes would often bring him to the author's attorney office. The author's job was to cut and store newspaper clipping on a wide variety of subjects. Since his work seemed insignificant, the office boy would usually come into his cubicle to vent his feeling. Kothamangulam Subbu, considered the boss right-hand man at Gemini Studios, was usually chosen as the target of his anger. The author clearly disagrees with the office boy's perception and gives a brief portrait of the life of Kothamangulam Subbu. Although he performed minor roles, his performance was better than the lead actors. He was also an incredible poet, but was known more of his films than his novels. Subbu belonged to the story department, which housed the poets of the studio and the legal advisor. Through a legal advisor, he was considered a lawyer by most people. Unlike the khadi-clad poets of the department, he was always dressed in pants, a shirt, and sometimes a coat. Once he brought about the downfall of an actress by recording her temper tantrum on set. He lost his job when one day the boss, that is the owner of the studio, decided to dissolve the story department. Asoka Mitran now comes to the poets of Gemini Studios. Gemini Studios hosted a variety of poets who were believers of Gandhi and averse to communism. The poets' aversion of communism reflected the overall philosophy of Gemini Studios. This led to Frank Bookman modern rearrangement Army or MRA performing to plays Judson Valleys and Forgotten Factor at the studio. The Gemini family, impressed by the plays, imitated the sunrise and sunset scenes as depicted by the MRA. Eventually, the author learned by the MRA was a kind of counter movement to international communism. After a few months, the Gemini's studios was visited by an English poet. S.S. Vasan, the studio owner, welcomed the guest, whose identity was unknown, by delivering a long speech. It was followed by the poet's speech. However, People could not understand the poets due to his unfamiliar accent. Thus, the poet and the reason for his visit remained unexplained mystery. From a glimpse of life at Gemini Studios, Asoka Mitran now provides a brief glimpse into his own. One day he came across an announcement about a short story contest in the Hindu. The contest was organized by a periodical named The Encounter. On seeking information about the periodical, the author discovers that its editor was Stephen Spender, the same English poet who had visited the Gemini Studios. In conclusion, he talks about discovering the paperback edition of The God that filled a few months after his retirement. The book was completion of 6 essays by 6 eminent writers who described their experience with communism. Stephen Spender was one of the contributors to the book. He realized right away that his boss was not interested in Spender's poetry but his views on communism.